So as humans, we are creatures of habit. So that's how we run our lives. It's how we get up in the morning on the same side. It's how we brush our teeth. It's how we put our trainers on. It's how we drive. It is just habits that we just built and done every day for years and years. And this can be the exact same thing with your diet. You might have spent like years, your whole life eating a certain way, something that's come from being young and you've eaten this certain way or you've lived this certain way, and overnight these habits aren't just going to transform, they are going to take time. So one thing to learn, like from a habit point of view straight away, is that without even realizing you have all these habits built in, and it is going to take time to change one thing at a time. Because we've had these habits for so many years, they're going to be hard to break. You can't just change them all overnight. They are going to take time. There's no way that something that you've been doing for 10, 15 years you can just change overnight, because your body's going to remember this habit and it's just not going to want to let it go. So one thing I'd touch on straight away is the fact that you want to, if you have one habit that you know isn't good, say for example you go to Greggs for your lunch for a sausage roll or something like that, or a pasty, and that, like, you know that's a bad habit. What you'd need to do is, instead of just saying, right, I'm not going to go there anymore and not change anything, what you need to do is say, right, I'm not going to go, don't go, but instead you need to have your backup. You need to change that habit for something else. So have a healthy lunch planned, or have a healthy lunch plan. That's the other main alternative. So that once you break this habit, you're replacing it with a new one. Or another example, which I know affects a lot of people, is like comfort eating. So if you've had like a really stressful day, most people will go home, they can drink, they can eat, they'll sit down, they'll do things that are going to give them like instant gratification, that are going to make themselves feel good straight away to try and turn around this bad day. Instead, a great alternative would be, to break the habit would be to not eat or drink the stuff that you'd normally do, and instead go to the gym, go for a walk. They're going to be your main go-to. But when you know you've got this bad habit, you want to then change it, you want to break it, but then make sure you change it for a positive habit. I think one thing that is difficult as well is that a lot of people don't know what their bad habits are. So this is important, why you speak to someone, speak to one of the benchmark trainers about what you do, what you eat daily, and then we can sort of spot which habits you want to change first. Because the last thing you want to do is change like 3 or more habits at the same time. Literally one, at the very most 2 habits you want to change. You don't want to overcomplicate it, trying to do 3, 4, 5. When people come into the gym, they wanna learn how to train. They want to start doing all their exercise like outside the gym. They want to start going for runs. They want to change their diet. They want to stop. They want to stress less. They want to have more sleep. And like changing 5 massive things overnight is not going to happen. You have to just change one of them. And when you begin, you want to focus on doing the one that you know is probably going to be the easiest, that you can control and you can change, and then tackle the harder ones as you progress. As we mentioned in the last video, you want to see your health as a journey, and not just see it as something that's just gonna be there. Like you're gonna get there straight away. You want to see your health as a journey, and something that is gonna take 100 miles to get there, but it's only gonna get there by taking one step at a time to get there. One really good thing that we have as like a habit development chart, which is basically like an A4 sheet of paper, and it has like 31 days over it. And every day, if you're trying to change this one simple habit, every day you tick off or you cross if you've done it or not. Basically, obviously, if you cross, you make a note of why you didn't do it, and the mistake was to not do it. So you need to think, right, well, let's learn from the mistake. What did I do that made me not do this habit? So you're then putting something in place to make sure that you don't do this wrong. And then the aim is to do it for a couple months, or even just a month, because you can do it week by week, and then see if over the weeks you're being more consistent with your habits and you're seeing it. Because the only way you can really change something is by actually like managing it and monitoring it. Because if you're not monitoring it, then you don't know if you're doing it or not. You can't just be like, oh well, I don't know if my habits are changing, because you're not actually looking at it and what you're doing. So what I'd say is write down the habit you want to change, and then get a 30 or 31 day month chart, and every day tick off or cross if you have or haven't done this habit. If you haven't done it, make a note why, and then learn from the reason why you didn't do it, and put something in place to make sure that doesn't happen.